Hello everyone. It is an enormous pleasure to speak today in front of all of you. I want to thank Atreyu and of course the President of the Council of Ministers of the Italian Republic, Giorgia Meloni, for such an honorable invitation. As I have already said, the Argentines and the Italians are united by a common lineage and bonds of deep blood that date back several generations. That is why, rather than being among friends, I feel that I am among family. Just a few days ago, our government celebrated a year against all the focus of analysts and professional politicians. They said that we were going to last only a couple of months and that we were not able to govern. And today, the same people are surprised by our achievements. They had to try to throw their manuals into the trash. As you may know, I am an economist. I am not a politician. In fact, I have always despised politicians for the deep damage they have done to my country. I was recently involved in politics for the first time in my life at the age of 51. So imagine that the manual on how to be a politician, how to behave, how to negotiate, how to communicate, how to speak on camera, what can be said and what cannot. I never studied it and I did not apply for it either. But the funny thing is that last year and throughout the last year, all the formulas and recipes for professional political communication failed. Most of the people rejected them in the polls and chose something different. If not, we would not have reached where we are and we would not have done everything we did. I have my own recipes, which are not politically correct or superficial. But it cannot be denied that for now they have not given us results. At least they work. It is like a kind of cat and axle, but in politics. Not long ago, I put them in the first CPAC of Argentine history, which was a resounding success and which I would love for Georgia to participate when we carry out the next edition. And there I called my political action Decalogue, because there are 10 slogans. And today, humbly, I want to share them with you. We are going to talk about the political method. We are going to talk about power and exercise power. First, it is better to say an uncomfortable truth than a comfortable lie. Every government plan must start from the truth, not only because it is correct, but because there is no measure that works if it is based on an erroneous analysis. We do not try to adjust reality to a wrong model. On the one hand, because that procedure has left us more than catastrophes. On the other, because lies have short legs. On the other hand, people sooner or later realize the deception. And in our country, it has already been deceived too many times. And we do not want to underestimate the electorate. That is why, if the drink is bitter, it is better to drink it at once. Second, we care a lot about the opinion of politicians on almost all issues.
Nos importa un rábano la opinión de los políticos sobre casi todos los temas.
In our country, traditional politics has brought us nothing but ruin, and established a model in which politicians, their friends and their clients and at the expense of what the rest of the Argentines lose. That is why we consider that listening to politicians in any matter is giving back to the citizen of good. When we are faced with a particular issue, we usually ask the following: does politics ask for it, or does society ask for it? If politics is the only thing that asks for it, in theory it is suspected. And in general, if they suspect and distrust it, they will get it right. Third, we must never negotiate ideas in order to get a vote. Denying your convictions to get votes will leave you without conviction and without votes. The same with forming political alliances with other spaces. For us, the American concept of a catch-all party does not work. Water and oil do not mix. That is why in our government we adhere to a series of undeniable principles. And that is that the free market produces prosperity for all, that the government has to be limited, that the Argentines know better than a bureaucrat how to produce, free to employ him with whom to trade with. And in terms of security, we hold that the one who does it pays for it. In short, we defend life, freedom, and private property. It is also worth mentioning that regardless of who they are and where they come from, it is welcome anyone who wants to accompany us in defense of these pillars. We, on the other hand, are not willing to negotiate ideas, but all those who want to embrace the ideas of freedom will always be welcome. Fourth, and this for me is extremely important, and it is that unlike the economy, politics is a zero-sum game. The spaces of power that we do not occupy are occupied by the left. That is why we must be determined, be practical, and not doubt about exercising power. We must use the weapons of the enemy. The cultural battle is governed by the universal and timeless rules of politics, to which they have known how to play well. Now it is up to us to overcome it, because we are better at everything, and they will lose against us. There is a more harsh version of that, but I will try to. Since I am president in functions, I will try to show moderation. You understand? But we are superior productively. Long life freedom, damn it. Fifth, the only way to combat the organized evil is to be well organized. For believing that liberals are not bad, many have fallen into the trap of not organizing. In Argentina, the air costs us dearly. All the people of Argentina are not organized. In Argentina, the air costs us dearly. A century of humiliation. That is why in our government we are implacable. The one who comes with his own agenda and does not accept the line of the party is expelled. I am going to take a phrase from here. Rome does not pay traitors. And as I said in the CPAC, we have to be like a phalanx of hot plates or a Roman legion, who always imposes themselves on large armies, precisely because no one breaks the formation. I want you to know that I am not doing this out of populism. It was similar to what I said in the CPAC. My admiration for Rome, let's say, does not come from now, but from many years ago. So I want you to know that I am doing this out of devotion, not out of populism. When the adversary is strong, the only way to defeat them is with greater strength. The left is the cult of power for power itself. It prefers to reign in hell than serve in heaven. And if they have to transform heaven into hell to stay in power, they will do it. They have no pride or scruples. That is why we must be implacable and respond with an even greater force. We do not seek dialogues that lead us nowhere, nor establish consensus that only saves them. It is not our methodology to try to pacify those who seek to harm us. This is what is called Popper's paradox. You cannot be tolerant with the intolerant. Seventh, the best offense is always a good offense. There is nothing worse than living in a place where there is no war. The liberal right has fallen many times in that trap, wasting time giving explanations to those who do not deserve it. We do not have to explain anything to those who have ruined the country. We must be the ones who dictate the rhythm of the country. We must be the ones who dictate the rhythm of events, ensuring that the game is played according to our rules. And if we have to receive a blow, we must respond with 3. 8. Giving the cultural battle from power is not only advisable, but also an obligation. Having a good idea is just the beginning. In order for it to be effective, it must be correctly communicated. The left is the proof that the most terrible ideas can triumph culturally if they have good marketing. Imagine how much we have to win when we have ideas that do work and they're correct. We must learn from the mistakes of the past and support our good ideas from every piece of influence that we go conquering. That is why these kinds of meetings are so important, because they serve us to strengthen our ideas and to strengthen that cultural battle. Ninth, the only way to combat socialism is from the right. The extreme center, its position and its tools, are always and everywhere functional to the criminal left. We are not interested in continuing with the famous consensus of politics, which urges to continue suppressing taxpayers. Let us never forget that what they call consensus is the consensus between them, and their sole purpose is that even if governments and politicians change their minds, the privileges of the political caste remain. There is no consensus between good and evil. That is why we are skeptical of the whole concept of center, which in appearance is moderate, but under the complicit surface is always functional to socialism. Also, let us never forget that socialism is always and everywhere an impoverishing phenomenon that also killed 150 million human beings. 10th, the last and most important of all, we defend a just and noble cause, much greater than each one of us. People are mere instruments in this cause, and we have to be willing to give our lives for it. I speak neither more nor less than of the historical line of the West. an intergenerational cause, a thread that runs through millennia, our great civilizational feat, the cause of the Athenian philosophers, the cause of you, the Romans, who consolidated in the first multi-continental empire, the cause that crossed the ocean and colonized America, the cause of the great civilization, the cause that discovered the scientific method, and with the capitalism of the free enterprise, took thousands of millions of human beings out of misery. In other words, I speak of the great civilizational feat, that is the West. It is a just cause that exceeds us as people. That is why there is no place for personal ambitions, no place for mischief, no place for the self, no place for the ego. What is at stake is simply too great to give rise to individual aspirations. These are the 10 political slogans that I wanted to leave you today, that are the same ones that I have offered to the militants of our party as political action resources. I think they can be useful for all those who share our ideas in the rest of the world, because as Lenin said, although he was a broken deaf, he says interesting things and you have to listen to them. Without revolutionary theory, there cannot be a revolutionary movement. To finish, I want to tell you that today we are facing a change of time, where the global system of privileged caste is collapsing. The disease of the woke souls finding more and more resistance from a society that is in search of new representatives, from a society that is in search of new representatives, from a society that is in search of new representatives, that is in search of new representatives, that is in search of leaders that mark the way. We have to be responsible for this reality and be at the height of the historical moment. And the most effective ways by being together, establishing cooperation channels throughout and across the world, taking back the idea that the bad organized is sold out through the organization of the good. We must draw a strong link between our countries. In the face of the socialists, we must all respond together and with conviction. In the CPC in Buenos Aires, I called it an international rightist inception. They say that politics is the art of the possible. We, from the Argentine Republic, are sharing every day that in reality politics is the art of making possible what the media could say is impossible. We invite you to try our recipes and to continue working tirelessly and with faith. Because as the sacred scriptures say, they attack us full of insolence and impiety in order to exterminate us, our women and our children, and to take control of our despots. We, on the other hand, fight for our lives and our customs. Heaven will crush them in front of us. Do not be afraid. May God bless the West. May the strength of heaven be with us. Long life freedom, Karja. Long life freedom, Karaju. Long life freedom, Karjo. Thank you very much. Thank you. Long life freedom, Karaja.